We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will announce he is seeking the Republican presidential nomination on Wednesday, placing him on a collision course with former U.S. President Donald Trump. DeSantis' political team has confirmed he will make the announcement on Twitter during a discussion with the social media company's CEO, Elon Musk, where he will also file a document with the Federal Election Commission declaring his candidacy.
You have this lack of trust in the medical establishment.
DeSantis, whose impassioned battles over pandemic lockdowns and divisive cultural issues have endeared him to conservatives, was handily re-elected to a second term as Florida's governor in November. His rising profile among Republicans and fundraising prowess likely makes him the biggest threat to Trump's hopes of once again winning the Republican nomination for the White House.
You know, a corporatist would say that you have to give Disney everything at once. Well, in reality, Disney was enjoying unprecedented privileges and subsidies.
DeSantis has rebuffed critics, pushed his priorities through the legislature, and punished his enemies, picking a high-profile fight with Disney, one of Florida's biggest employers. But if DeSantis hopes to defeat Trump, he will ultimately have to bring every possible anti-Trump voter he can into the fold. And even that might not be enough. The two men were close allies during Trump's 4 years in the White House. Trump endorsed him during his first campaign for governor. But as DeSantis' fortunes continued to rise after Trump left office, the former president's mood toward the governor turned sour. Trump has pilloried DeSantis' record as a governor and dubbed him Ron DeSanctimonious. DeSantis in turn will have to paint Trump as a candidate who cannot win a general election against Democratic President Joe Biden. He will have to win over Republicans turned off by Trump. DeSantis enters a fractured field, facing rivals such as Nikki Haley, Trump's former ambassador to the United Nations, and Tim Scott, a U.S. Senator from South Carolina.
Donald Trump appeared remotely in a Manhattan courtroom Tuesday, where the judge set a date of March 25, 2024 for the former president's criminal trial and warned him not to disclose evidence in advance. Trump is charged with falsifying business records to conceal money paid to silence porn star Stormy Daniels ahead of his 2016 presidential election. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal counts in the case. At least 4 screens in the courtroom showed Trump wearing a striped red tie and blue suit, sitting next to his lawyer in front of a background of U.S. flags. Trump's attorney told Justice Juan Merchan that Trump understood he could not disclose certain evidence, including witness statements, to third parties such as news outlets or on social media. Prosecutors have said the order was needed because of Trump's history of attacks on social media and the risk that witnesses might be harassed. But the frontrunner for the Republican nomination for president in the 2024 election remains free to speak about most evidence in the case, which comes from the defense.
High-stakes negotiations to raise the U.S. debt ceiling between the White House and Republican leaders failed to break the gridlock on Tuesday, ahead of a potential U.S. default that could be just 9 days away. Republican House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy is demanding significant budget cuts in exchange for a vote to lift the government's borrowing limit. Democratic President Joe Biden and members of his party insist Republicans raise the debt ceiling and are pushing for wealthy Americans and businesses to pay more taxes.
Well, the message we have for President Biden is there will be no more taxes.
Number 2 House Majority Leader Steve Scalise.
It's the spending in Washington that's the problem, and it's the spending in Washington that we have to address to solve this situation we're in with the debt ceiling.
The White House has accused Republicans of holding the U.S. economy hostage to extract political gains. But on Tuesday, spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre struck an optimistic tone on avoiding a U.S. default.
Look, if everyone is working in good faith and recognizes that no one is going to get, either side is going to get exactly what they want, we'll get it done. Both the president and the speaker reiterated that default is off the table. So now we have to do this in good faith. We have to move forward.
Despite the current gridlock, aides for Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy have found some common ground on several areas, including permit reform that will help energy projects move forward. But time is running out. If and when Biden and McCarthy reach a deal, they will still need to sell it to their caucuses in Congress. It could easily take a week to pass a deal through the House and Senate. Unless Congress raises the debt ceiling and allows the federal government to borrow money to pay its bills, the United States could default on its obligations as soon as June 1st, potentially tipping the nation into recession and plunging global financial markets into chaos.
In a major move to use more American-made parts, Apple said it has entered a multi-billion-dollar deal with chipmaker Broadcom for chips that will be manufactured in the United States. Under the multi-year deal announced Tuesday, Broadcom will develop 5G radio frequency components with Apple that will be designed and built in several U.S. facilities, including Fort Collins, Colorado, where Broadcom has a major factory. Specifically, Broadcom will supply what are known as Film Bulk Acoustic Resonator, or FBAR chips. FBAR chips are part of a radio frequency system that helps iPhones and other Apple devices connect to mobile networks. Broadcom is already a major supplier of wireless components to Apple. In a statement, Apple CEO Tim Cook said the tech giant will, quote, continue to deepen our investments in the U.S. economy because we have an unshakable belief in America's future. Apple shares were down slightly in Tuesday morning trading, while shares of Broadcom were up more than 1%.
TikTok is suing to block the U.S. state of Montana from banning the company's short video app. The company filed a lawsuit on Monday, arguing the ban, which is set to take effect next January 1st, violates First Amendment rights of the company and users. It said the ban is unconstitutional and is preempted by federal law because it intrudes upon matters of exclusive federal concern and violates the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution. In other words, it alleges that the state has overreached by violating the parts of the Constitution that limit state powers. Montana issued the ban last week, which makes it unlawful for Google and Apple app stores to offer TikTok within the state. TikTok will be fined $10,000 each time it breaches the ban, but individual users are spared from the penalties. It is not clear how the ban will be enforced. The state's governor said the move was to, quote, protect Montanans' personal and private data from the Chinese Communist Party. TikTok, which is owned by Chinese tech company ByteDance, amassed more than 150 million users in the U.S. In recent years, however, it faced growing calls from officials and concerned groups to ban the app nationwide over concerns about potential Chinese government influence over the platform. Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen, who is charged with enforcing the law, was named in TikTok's lawsuit. A spokesperson for Knudsen said the state was ready for lawsuits and it's, quote, fully prepared to defend the law. Last week, 5 TikTok users in Montana also filed a lawsuit in federal court seeking to block the state's ban.